removal package of Detention Sphere, Supreme Verdict, but he also has 1 copy of Fated Retribution.
Now, I'll tell you how this plays out. Will is playing a little bit of a spoiler role right now. We enter in game 1. He is in 12th place. He is not live for top 8, but Chase Cagle, with a win and a small bit of help, could be in our top 8. As we see, he is playing Blue-White Devotion, so a new archetype. I'm going to go ahead and read through part of this deck, too. It starts like a mono blue deck. You'd expect Frostburn Weird, Night Veil Spectre, Thassa, Master of Waves. But then it takes a new turn. We have Ephara, Detention Sphere, Supreme Verdict, Jace, Nullify, and Sphinx's Revelation.
And I gotta say, this is one of the sloppier boards I've ever seen.
All right, so
there are 4. It looks like there are 4 Detention Spheres at play.
Yeah, I think.
And then 2 on the Chase's side, I think.
Yeah, well, they both. That is. Yeah, they both play 4 Detention Spheres. So let's try to catch up here. It looks like there are 4 Detention Spheres on Will's side, 2 on Chase's side. The cards that are exiled do not appear to be coming back. We have an Ephara and 2 Frostburn Weirds on Chase's board. So that is actually an active Ephara. It has Devotion of 7 to it.
Yeah, it's active, and he played a creature this turn, so he'll be able to draw a card next turn.
Right, he'll get to draw a card next turn.
Looks like he's got a full grip, too, so Will just has a Sphinx Revelation in his hand, so as long as Chase has a counterspell, looks like he's going to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, this is one of the newer cards that we haven't seen yet, Ephara, God of the Polis. At the beginning of each upkeep, if you had another creature enter the battlefield under your control last turn, draw a card. She's a 6/5 and a pretty strong card advantage engine in a blue aggro deck.
Yeah, and you know, I've seen some Ephara decks, you know, playing Assemble the Legion as well. So Assemble, Ephara,
yeah.
pretty good card engine there. Maybe not as efficient as Underworld Connection, but it still gets the job done.
And Underworld Connections doesn't turn into a 6/5 indestructible.
That's true, yeah.
So it looks like a swing from Chase, pumps Frostburn Weird up to a 4/1. There are a couple Mutavaults to block. Life totals are still very high, 26 and 32, and we see a huge revelation from Will Newberry.
The good old-fashioned pile my lands up and just turn everything
sideways. How much are you revelating for? A lot.
Yeah,
a lot. All these.
Just show me the counterspell. Just show me the counterspell if you have it.
The question for me is, does Will Newberry play an Elixir?
Yeah. He does not. He does not have an Elixir in his main deck.
So he actually all right, so he can't just Revelation for everything all the time.
So it looks like it's going to resolve. Chase does not have a counterspell. Despite having a lot of cards in his hand, he does not have a way to counter that.
So Will go up to 36. Now down to 30 on the attack from Frostburn Weird. Jace will be made by Cagle.
So
yeah, you're right. One of the harder board states to come in on the middle of and make heads and tails out of.
So it looks like Detention Sphere was Slaughter Games. Then there's something else. I don't know.
All right. Jace will reveal piles of Ephara land and Night Veil Spectre. The Ephara is not really a card at this point. There have been 4 Detention Spheres pulled out of Will's deck. And this might even be the point where players want to start 3-0ing Jaces.
Yeah, it looks like Will has very little cards left in his deck. I can't quite make it out, but he's got a giant stack in his hand and a giant stack of lands in play. So there's definitely there can't be that many cards left in his library.
Yeah, so he's going to have to win here. He does play 1 Aetherling as a win con. And
he's got 1 Aetherling, he's got 2 Elspeth. Those are basic. Yeah, he doesn't have the Elixir, so he's got to win with either Elspeth or Aetherling. And if Chase knows this, he can kind of play the game, you know, accordingly.
Well, there are no counter spells in Chase's deck. He has 3 rapid hybridizations. He has he has 3 nullify, so he can actually nullify the Aetherling, presuming he hasn't already nullified an Aetherling. But he can't answer an Elspeth without, well, apologies. He has 4 Detention Spheres. There's only 2 of them on play. So he could, in theory, get rid of all of Will's win cons.
Yeah. And he also, you know, he has the Jace in play already, and Will's used all his Detention Spheres, so upticking Jace will buy him some time, and if he can just find a way, like, does he have Thassa in his deck?
He has Thassa.
So Thassa can ping at Elspeth, too, to make sure it doesn't go ultimate. So basically, you know, Chase might be in a position where he might just want to prevent Will from winning.
Yep. He has to contend, though, with this Elspeth Sun's Champion that Will's just made. It was cast, resolved, made 3 soldier tokens, and now Will's going to have to choose which cards he wants to keep. Got a lot of lands. Those don't really do much anymore.
I don't think he has any lands left in his deck. Based on the amount that he has to discard here and the amount that he has in play, it looks like he's going to be drawing nothing but gas, although I don't know how many turns he has left.
Looks like a single-digit number of cards left in his deck.
So it looks like Chase actually has a Nykthos in play, so you can actually activate Nykthos naming blue and actually get 7 mana.
Yeah, he has a devotion of 7. So he's going to minus the Jace. And at that point, that's right where I feel like you're supposed to do 3-0. He's flipped 2 lands and a Mutavault. You know, if you're in a match where people are going to get milled, I'd punish him. Say, hey, if you want this Mutavault, you have to take these 2 lands also.
Yeah, at this point, what do the lands really matter?
Yeah, it's like milling them for 2 for free.
Yeah.
All right, Night Veil Spectre made, so Chase's devotion to blue goes up to 10.
And it looks like Will moves those Supreme Verdicts right to the top of his hand, so he's okay with letting that resolve. Looks like Chase will draw another card.
8. Yeah. A swing with both. That's with both Frostmourne and Afara. That's going to be double chumped by the Elspeth.
Yeah, so Chase can draw a card now because of the God's second ability.
Yeah, I'm going to continue doing that.
He's got some interesting. I think is that a Thassa's Rebuff in his hand? Does he play that card even?
He does not have Thassa's Rebuff in his 75.
Scott nullifies though.
Scott nullifies.
So it looks like we're going to see Supreme Verdict come down.
Yeah, that will be cast uncounterable. Remember, Chase's only counter is nullify, so it's uncounterable both by effect and by virtue of the deck list.
So Jace is going to come down too. So that's going to put even further problems on Chase's ability to kind of attack that Elspeth.
Yeah, Jace is cast here by Newberry. But the real question is how many cards are left in Newberry's deck?
Yeah, Chase is at 32. So, you know, even ultimating here, he's going to need a couple of turns to actually kill Chase here. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's got more than 5 or 6 cards left in his deck. Can't really tell.
Thassa is going to be pretty big for Chase, too. If he can resolve a Thassa, he can actually he can just take all the win cons out of Will's deck. That's his way to remove the Elspeth. Will only has so many counterspells. It looks like he only has 1 Dissolve in hand. Chase can overload that by simply drawing a lot of threats.
Yeah, but he needs to basically draw the Thassa next turn, I think, because if he ultimates Chase the following turn, he basically has 9 power in play.
Afara attacks again. It will be chumped by a token. No swing there by Night Veil Spectre.
He just cast it. The other one was Supreme
That's
Verdict,
a different Night Veil Spectre.
So this is one he just cast this turn.
Well, that'll be why it doesn't attack.
So it looks like Will drew an Azorius Charm. So.
Well, he doesn't. If he had his own physical creature, he could Azorius Charm his own guy to preserve his library.
He's got a Swings of Revelation in his hand. Not sure that can get cast.
Swing of 2. One of them will be blocked. That will put Chase down to 31. A little bit of damage coming across the road, but not too much.
So it looks like Supreme Verdict might get cast again. Yep, just wants to deal with that flyer. He does have an Azorius Charm, but again, I think he wants to just make sure the creature's dealt with right away.
Yeah, he takes care of that, pluses the Jace, pluses the Elspeth, 3 more tokens. And remember, he has Azorius Charm and Dissolve still in his hand.
Yeah, so as
the pressures can Will win.
Again, it all comes down to how many cards left. It doesn't look. It looks like he's in single digits. The question is,
it almost looks like 1 from here.
It has to be like 8 and not 3. You know?
Yeah. Okay. So there's at least 1 hiding beneath there. Right. If it's 8, we're probably fine. If it's 3, we're not. Supreme Verdict now cast from Chase. He's just buying turns off the cards.
So now he can actually, if he can activate the God. Oh no! So he just has Can he just activate Mutavault? But Will does have an Azorius Charm, so he's going to be able to protect his Jace.
Well, it's only a swing for 1. He'll just let Elspeth go to 6. He needs soldiers in play anyway.
Yeah.
Guildgate in play for Chase. So Chase, you saw that there's a Guildgate there. He's playing 4 Temples, 4 Hallowed Fountains, and 2 Guildgates. Another card drawn by Newberry. He looks like he's trying to ultimate the Jace. Remember, if he finds a Thassa in Chase's deck, it'll immediately be turned on thanks to the fact that Will has resolved 4 Detention Spheres this game.
That is true.
So it's just a 5/5.
Oh, there's a Detention Sphere.
That's huge. Remember, there's a Dissolve in Will's hand, but Detention Sphere is big here. He's going to go for the Detention Sphere. That's got to be I feel like that has to be countered.
It also turns on the God.
Turns on Afara. So yeah, with 3 Detention Spheres actually is enough to by itself activate Afara. If you weren't aware.
So these gods are a lot easier to turn on than I think people thought.
Well, they're actually only 1 mana more than the original gods because they give 2 to themselves. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say they're about as difficult to turn on as the regular ones, maybe even easier in a 2-color deck. And another draw by Will. He looks to still have multiple cards left in his deck, so He doesn't seem too concerned as of yet.
Yeah, I think he's probably fine. Again, as long as he has like 3 cards left in his library right now, I think he's probably fine. Yeah, that dissolve, that is no longer on the stack. So looks like Elspeth is gone. He's decided to ultimate it.
Make an emblem. Now that's pretty aggressive unless he has another Elspeth. I would think he'd want more soldiers.
Well, again, Jace could get him another soldier. Jace could net him if he has another Elspeth left in his deck. I'm not sure how many he's gone through.
I don't know how many cards are left in his deck, but you're right. It could absolutely do that.
If he at least has 1 in his deck, he'll either draw it or he'll find it next turn.
A draw by Cagle. He actually still has a fair number of cards in his hand, but he is starting to he's getting hit for 6 a turn, so he's got to do something. Mutavault is going to attack Jace. Wants to keep it off ultimate, and we think we see an Azorius Charm, and we do.
Yeah, so Chase really, despite drawing a lot of cards early on, he just looks like he just doesn't have enough gas.
Running out of gas. The question is how fast can Will win? How many cards are left?
Yeah, he should be able to win. It looks like he's got at least 2 cards left. He's going to be able to ultimate right here. He can get a Thassa and he can get an Elspeth.
Let's see what he gets through Chase's deck. Let's see is there a Thassa
options
left. There's an Afara left. There is a Thassa. That immediately thinks that's what he wants. I mean, he could have an active Afara
Master.
too.
He's got a Master too. You can get.
Master's really good with an emblem. That's true. Master's answered by Verdict. He's thinking Afara.
He wants to make sure that it survives. Although, is Afara you must draw a card?
He has looks like 4 cards remaining in his deck.
Yeah, at the beginning of each upkeep, if you had another creature enter the battlefield under your control last turn, draw a card. So you have to draw a card. So it's possible that so he's got 4 cards left in his library, so he should be okay.
He has no counter spells left, so if Cagle can top deck, well, maybe it's some detention spheres or supreme verdicts to deal with these remaining cards, he's got a shot.
Yeah, he's definitely fine because, again, Afaras can bounce off each other, so it's really a supreme verdict.
Well, this one has flying.
This one is flying, yeah.
Yeah, so there's not bouncing happening.
So, yeah, Chase is down to 19. It looks like two attacks will be lethal here.
All right, so swing number 1. This is for Afara, a 5-6, so it's 7. It's 13. That'll put Chase down to 6. And game 1 goes to Will Newberry.
So the massive Sphinx's Revelation was able to finally get there. It took a while, but Sphinx's Revelation for like 12.
Remember, both players play Sphinx's Revelation. That's the thing, too.
Yeah, and Chase can actually activate Nick, though, so it could be pretty saucy. But, yeah, Elspeth just proves too powerful.
All right, well, let's go to first the blue-white control sideboard. This is the standard one. What can he do in the matchup? There's some concern. Well, let's have clock be a concern when talking about this.
Well, he's got a pretty interesting transformational sideboard in terms of he's got 3 Soldier of the Pantheon, 3 Precinct Captain, and 2 Archangel of Thune. I actually kind of like Soldier of the Pantheon in this matchup because if you're playing against a gold deck, it's pretty tough for them to kind of deal with Soldier. I mean, you can't Detention Sphere it. It can attack through a god. Night Veil Spectre can't deal with it. Frostburn Weird can't block it. So I kind of Soldier. I can see Soldier of the Pantheon coming in.
Soldier will get in. Looking at Chase's deck, it is very soft to Soldier of the Pantheon. Yeah. The creatures that can deal with it are elemental tokens from Master Waves, an active Thassa, and a Nullify. Those are his answers.
Yeah. So
and a Supreme Verdict. if he kept them in against blue-white control.
Yeah. So again, I don't hate Soldier in this matchup. But then again, he's not going to be boarding out his Supreme Verdicts against a deck like Chase's. So. The question is it worth bringing in Soldier if you're still going to keep in all 4 of your Supreme Verdicts? His creature plan is, though, Soldier of the Pantheon, 3 Precinct Captains, and 2 Archangel of Thune. So, those 8 cards could potentially come in, but if he doesn't bring in those cards, then he might just stick with his control deck and just bring in another Fated Retribution, 3 copies of Gainsay, and then maybe 1 Last Breath and 1 Pie Needle as a way to answer.
I think it's interesting that he has a man plan of Precinct Captain and Soldier of the Pantheon and no Bramaz in the deck.
Yeah, I agree. But again, it is the kind of first week they're legal, so sometimes maybe card availability might be an issue.
Sure.
But, maybe his curve is just like he doesn't really care. He doesn't really want a 3-drop. He just thinks that maybe having a 1-drop and 2-drop are really all that matter. Which I can't really fault them. I mean, those are pretty effective cards against beatdown decks. And even in the mirror, I mean, being able to go Soldier into a Precinct Captain could be effective in certain matchups. So I can't really fault him for not playing Brumaz, but we have seen Brumaz be good for other players throughout this tournament.
Looking at Cagle's sideboard, he's got some options here. He actually looks a lot like a mono blue deck and how I think he approaches the deck, the game plan. You know, I think his sideboard would be he has Gainsays and Negates, both of which he can board in. He also has an additional Sphinx's Revelation he could use. And he has 2 Revoke Existences, which could be pretty decent against Detention Spheres.
Yeah, so Revoke Existence I think is a card that he definitely wants because we saw how important Detention Sphere was for Will. I mean, dealing with the Thassa, if Thassa was active, this whole game's different. So being able to deal with Detention Sphere is huge for Chase. So definitely would be seeing those cards come in along with the Gainsays.
Yep, so Chase will be on the play this game. Both players still shuffling. For me, that's a... If I'm Chase, I feel some urgency to this match. You know, you're down 1 game in what is... And you have to win 2 games in 10 minutes. That seems like a pretty tall order.
Against Blue-White Control, I agree, but, you know, again, his deck can actually do it, whereas Will's deck, you know, can't win that bit. So if it comes down to Chase is able to win in 10 minutes, we're almost definitely drawing. Like, there's no way Will can really do anything. So I agree with you.
Chase gets game 2, you mean he's got a draw in hand.
They're drawing.
But Chase is playing for top 8 with the win.
So I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised that, both players are kind of taking their time here, especially Chase. I mean, there's got to be more of a sense of urgency, I think. Given your situation. I mean, they probably have 5 extra minutes, but still, we're talking about less than 15 minutes left in the round. You got to win 2 games. And you're a blue-white, and you're playing against a blue-white control deck. So it looks like Chase is basically. It looks like he's taking a walk in the park. He's pretty relaxed, given the situation. Will's still pile shuffling here. It's going to take probably another minute for him to get ready. So let's see here. Are they ready to present yet?
Well, technically, you have 3 minutes for deck presentation, shuffling it, randomization, and presentation. So technically, if your opponent's going more than 3 minutes into the shuffle tank, you can call a judge on that. Yeah, I know that's some like.
I find that people usually go over 3 minutes, especially when they're sideboarding. Like I find that a lot of times people aren't really cognizant of that rule, and they're kind of just they'll go into 4 or 5 minutes sometimes. A lot of times, especially when it's a difficult, not on purpose, but. A lot of times people just don't know what they want to board in and board out in each matchup. I mean, it could be very difficult. So I feel like that 3-minute rule, it's not really thought of very often. I mean, a lot of people go over it, I feel.
Yeah, it's one of those rules that you just typically not enforced. I know that it can be called if you're, in these situations that it can come up, I suppose.
Yeah, and in general, I don't think people are stalling when they're doing it. A lot of times I think it just comes down to you're really not sure what you want to bring in and bring out.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. Will's on the mulligan.
And this is the most frustrating thing when you're under the clock and your opponent's mulligan, because usually you're happy if your opponent's mulliganing, except for in these types of situations. You're like, oh, come on, buddy, just hurry up. But unfortunately for Chase here, we're down now to 8 minutes, and they probably have a 5-minute extension, so probably down to 13 minutes left in the round. Oh, so actually, it looks like there isn't an extension. So they actually do have less than 8 minutes.
The clock actually. This is not the round clock. So the round clock that's up on the on the big screen is around 3 minutes. The on-screen clock is already accounting for the feature match extension.
Yeah. So Chase is going to need quite the draw to be able to win this game in under 8 minutes.
All right.
So it looks like Will is comfortable with his 6.
All right, so Chase starts out on a Guild Gate. Both players are going to trade those tap lands. Will's will be a Scry land. Yeah, and it looks like he's boarded in Blind Obedience, among other cards. That's typically for decks with haste. I have not seen it against competing aggro decks.
Yeah, that's a really strange, unless maybe he thinks
wants life gain.
Life gain could be relevant. Yeah, I did not expect him to bring in Blind Obedience.
All right, turn 2, he's going to go ahead and shock off Hallowed Fountain for that Blind Obedience. Well, that's even stranger to me that you would shock to play it. Because if the only thing is doing the match is life gain, then paying life for the card.
It seems
now you got to have 3 extorts before you're even pulling a profit.
Especially because he has an island in his hand. He could have just played the island. So effectively, Blind Obedience cost him 2 life in this match.
Oh, gosh. All right, well, a swing and a triple pump puts Will down to 14.
And looks like
just pass.
He has a Dissolve. He has a Supreme Verdict in his hand, I think, as well as Chase.
Well, I think Chase is playing that aggro control game that we've come to expect out of a mono blue deck, where they just all in on one threat until the blue-white player answers it.
Yeah, so he's going to pump now for 2.
Yeah, puts Will down to 11.
Yep. And he's got a negate in his hand, so he's going to basically force Will to cast Supreme Verdict.
Right, and then he'll just respond by creating a better threat,
Yeah.
and then protect that.
Now, does he have a card like the Jace Memory Adept in his
He has
sideboard?
3 Jace Architect of Thought in the main deck. So
Okay.
I think in a lot of ways he is like a mono blue devotion deck. But instead of playing Bident, he's playing Ephara, for example.
So, yeah, because Jace Memory Adept, that is a card that could win the game pretty quickly for him.
Yeah, he just has
But,
the Architect. To be fair, though, Frostburn Weird's doing a pretty good job of winning the game quickly for him right now.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it looks like Will does have a Last Breath along with a Supreme Verdict, so that Frostburn Word won't win the game on its own.
Well, Last Breath, if he has enough untapped lands, Last Breath won't work.
Yeah, so it depends on how Chase plays this one. So
We'll start with a swing from Frostburn Weird. He's going to ask how much. Yeah, do you have any? He has a little bit of. Well, I'm not. Are you going to do anything? Okay. Chase makes the pump up to a 2/3, makes the pump up to a 3/2. But he has enough mana that Last Breath just can't be used here. He's going to go all the way to 4/1.
yep. So again,
Will down to 1, down to 7, I think.
So yeah, he has enough mana where he can actually pump on his turn and then pump on Will's turn too if Will tries to cast Last Breath on his turn. So yeah, Last Breath not really effective here. You're right.
Yeah, what Will can do is, yeah, Will doesn't have a good. He does not have a good way out of that. He did draw Archangel of Thune, I believe.
Yes, but he doesn't have a 5th mana though.
Yeah.
So he's going to be up. He's forced to cast Supreme Verdict here.
Yeah, and I think right now I just kind of want to highlight Blind Obedience in this matchup.
Blind Obedience cost Will 2 life right
Yes.
now so far.
All right, so now this is where the aggro control deck loves to be. You know, he waited and forced Will to cast a spell, and then he replaced the Frostburn Weird with an even better card, in Night Veil Spectre.
Yeah,
Once
so
again, protected by negate.
Good spot for Chase here. It looks like he's going to be able to close out this game if he can just keep. So far, it's looking good for him.
Yeah, and
Especially if Will goes for a
he's going
Jace
to go for
here.
this,
That's
and
great.
that quickly is if Chase could not negate that faster.
Yeah, so now he's going to get because Will does have that Last Breath still, so Night Veil Spectre could have got hit with it, but thankfully it's going to get a hit here, so he's going to be able to get a card off of Will's deck. If it's a land, that's huge because that keeps him off 5 again potentially.
Yep, so he swings for 4 with Mutavault and Night Veil Spectre, and as you said, it's a land. It's a Hallowed Fountain, goes under Spectre. Have to think Chase will just play the land for the turn.
Yeah,
hasn't played one yet.
he's got a land of his own in his hand, but there's no reason to play that one. Looks like
He's
wow.
Wow. Okay, exceeding expectations.
So if he goes
Blind
land
Obedience.
Archangel Thrune, if he goes land Archangel, oh wow.
It's a tap land. It's a tap land.
land.
I did not think Blind Obedience was going to go ahead and actually get a detention sphere. Whew.
That
Wow.
Blind Obedience has been fantastic so far.
I'm sorry we insulted playing it.
Yeah.
It just got a detention sphere out of his hand. It was a great Blind Obedience.
We are idiots. That was a great blind because that detention sphere could have actually answered the Jace here. Now Archangel Thrune is
yeah.
potentially going to be really good for Will here.
Well, Jace was plus, so now Will's only going to go to 1 on this in the ensuing attack. I mean, well, that's still a very low life total, but you're right. If he can make Archangel next turn, he can stabilize.
But he will get a card off Night Veil Spectre. So
Okay, so here's the other thing. There was a Revoke Existence in Chase's hand.
Yeah, that's
if he
what-
decided he needed to enter Blind Obedience, which I don't really understand that part of the decision, then I feel like he had a better card
So
to do it
Supreme
with.
Verdict. So that's actually a great hit there because again, if
It means
Will
his opponent
does,
can't cast it.
if he casts, well, not only that, but if he casts the Archangel, he actually has double white now.
Oh,
so he
wow.
Can
Yes,
actually cast
he can
Supreme
go
Verdict,
Supreme
activate
Verdict,
Mutavault.
activate Mutavault, and win.
Yeah.
So now Will cannot. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. So that was actually a great hit there.
You're absolutely right. That Supreme Verdict is clutch.
So Will
It's
has
ridiculous.
Will has a Last Breath. He does have a Sphinx of Revelation as well.
Yeah,
so
the only thing he can do is Rev for 2. That's how he stays alive this turn.
it looks like
pluses-
Chase drew a Revelation of his own.
Right, he pluses Jace and he revs for 2 on the attack, and then he's not dead.
Yeah.
He is certainly not alive, but a swing with Night Veil Spectre, and just Night Veil Spectre is going to get Last Breathed. Well, actually, he's fine because the Mutavault can't swing because there's a Mutavault on Will's side.
Yep.
And the Jace plus,
And
man, that if only we had a detention sphere.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I think it's fine though because Chase does have that Sphinx of Revelation, so he's going to be able to cast Sphinx of Revelation for 5 here or 6.
yeah.
And he's still got that Supreme. Oh no, he doesn't have the Supreme Verdict anymore.
He's got to be cognizant of that clock, though. Look at, there's only a minute left. Will's just got to survive. He can go for the 1-0 victory. Jace is up to 7.
So yeah, if he just try to go for the Arc. He can't cast Archangel here.
Well, he's got Dissolve Gainsay in his hand.
And he's got a Mutavault in play. He can't, he has to counter this.
So he's going to go ahead and Chase goes for a big Revelation. That will not resolve. The only question is which counter spell is Will going to use. It's going to be Gainsay, though. He's going to use the more narrow one there, which I like. To be fair, though, I don't know if there are any non-blue spells in Chase's deck.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, there's
some white spells, but they're... Oh, okay. Well, there's one. There's a Revoke Existence.
Here's a Master of the Ways. Master of the Ways can get dissolved if he chooses.
And I think actually Will has... Well, Will can't counter. If he counters, he'll die to the Mutavault.
Yep.
So he's got to just let this resolve.
So Master is to resolve here. He could, kind of rev for one this turn, because it looks like he might not get another turn.
Now this attack with Mutavault's ill-advised. It's just gonna block and get eaten.
Yeah, the elemental. It's an elemental.
It's an elemental, absolutely. So they'll trade.
They'll trade off each other.
Yeah,
so.
They just went through the exact same interaction that you and I did. I was like, oh, this guy's gonna die. Like, no, he's not. It's an elemental. It's like, yeah, good call. Now they trade.
No, it actually doesn't trade, because.
Yeah, that shouldn't.
Wait, should they?
No, it should. No, it's a 2/3. His is a 2/3. There's a 3/3 that got shrunk to a 2/3, and Will's was a 2/2.
No, the elemental bonus is only +1 power. Oh no, I'm sorry.
It's
+1/+1. Yeah. So.
Yeah, the tokens are just 1/0s.
Yeah.
So they need the toughness to live.
Correct. So so Will actually forgot about the elemental bonus.
As did I. I would have made the exact same punt there. I'll throw that out.
So now he has Rev. He can Rev here, but yeah. It looks like Chase might actually win this game.
In extra turns, he may force the draw.
Will can go up to 4, but Mutavault, even by upticking Jace, I don't think it matters.
This is one of those interesting situations. I don't know what the players know about their standings right now. It is true that Chase is live for top 8 with a win. Will is not. You have to know your standings enough to know that's the case. However, certainly both players want to think that they are live for top 8 right now.
Well, they're definitely not live with the draw, but again,
right.
Do you really want to concede to your opponent?
If I was dead, yeah.
But you could still make top 16 with a draw. You
may even make it. I bet they even make top 16 with a loss. I'll throw that in there.
Well,
but
either way, it's a tough spot.
It's not top 16 because 9th through 32nd are the same price. It's just top 32 is what matters at an open. We'll see what happens here though. But I think both. Yeah, Will's trying to see if he's on turn 0 if he can stay alive. Well, he can't do it on the current board, so he's going to draw some cards with Jace.
So there's a detention sphere. That's exactly what he needed. He can.
Well, it's close.
Oh, no.
He's got to answer that Mutavault.
Yeah, he has still and plus the. So he has to answer the Mutavault. He can cast detention sphere on the.
We just got to cast Archangel, right? He doesn't have a choice. He's in the detention. Yeah. He can
detention sphere rev for 1.
Jace is minus,
doesn't matter. Just as minus, yeah. So don't think he has an out here.
Isn't his out that he's going to have to just rev for a bunch?
No.
I mean, he's dead to the Mutavault swing here, and you have to think of Mutavault swinging. So pass back.
Well, he can. Yeah, he can. I guess he's just trying to bluff the Azorius Charm or Last Breath, but it doesn't matter. I think.
I mean, the problem is that bluff works if your opponent has another line. But the problem is that Chase doesn't.
Yeah.
Chase is swinging no matter.
And now for sure, because the elemental is going to come into the. Yeah. So now he's definitely.
Well, at one mana, it's unlikely that Will has something that deals with this Mutavault. And he'll say, all right, swing with Mutavault.
All right, so I lose.
And that's the game.
So both players are sitting at 1-1 now, and it looks like they're probably just going to draw.
I believe, it's a 1-1 draw between the two. So that will. Originally, I was saying this match did not have top 8 implication. Chase had an outside shot with a win. With a draw, both players will be happy with a top 16 finish. Neither will be present in our top 8, however. Our top 8 will play out as preceded, as expected, I suppose.
Yeah, so Chase's deck, pretty interesting. One of the few decks I've seen today that plays Afara, which is a card that, was somewhat discussed throughout the week. Afara, Elspeth, seems like an overkill maybe, but definitely something that's pretty interesting. But either way, both players now 1-1. They're going to draw and fall to 7-2-1. Yeah, it doesn't look like either player is conceding to the other. Yeah, so it's a draw.
Okay, so actually should point out something earlier. We were corrected